Hello everyone! I just got back from a month-long trip in Europe, and naturally all my friends and people that I know have questions about it, but the most asked question is by far, how do I afford this? How can I afford that? How do you afford it? Where's the money coming from? A lot of people are concerned about finances and the financing behind my trip. That's what this video is here for. I am here to answer all of your deep, dark questions. Not dark at all, but so I was really hesitant to make this video because I never budgeted for my trip at all. I'm too lazy, I'm really bad with finances, and I didn't want to. With that aside, of course I wasn't like throwing dollar bills around. The dogs are barking if you hear that. Since I didn't have a budget, I didn't really have a clear understanding of how much I spent until I actually looked back just now for this video. I wanted to show you guys exactly how much I spent. I'm completely okay with how much I spent because of all the experiences I got from it. However, it is a lot of money. Keep in mind, I went to like the most expensive cities in Europe. My itinerary is as follows: London, Brighton, Amsterdam, Paris, Barcelona, and then Reykjavik. 6 cities, 4 weeks. It was incredible, to say the least. I hope you guys liked all the videos. Always use Google Flights to look for flights. At least in my opinion, it is the best. If your schedule is flexible and you don't have like a certain day that you need to fly out, Google Flights is perfect for that because it will show you like the entire month schedule, and in that month you can see like what the cheapest day is, which I love. Definitely recommend just using Google Flights. That's what I booked all of my flights on. So when I was looking in March, I found a flight from Detroit to London for $300, and it had a 4-hour layover in Reykjavik, Iceland, because I flew with WOW Air, and all of their flights have a connecting flight connecting thing in Iceland. I booked a one-way because I didn't know when I would want to come home. I didn't know if I would get homesick or if I would want to stay a little bit longer. After booking that, I started looking at hostels. I found a hostel in London for $18 a night. So cheap, especially for London. London was the cheapest hostel I stayed in. Keep in mind that it had 30 other people in it. I would not recommend this hostel at all. It's not worth it because you won't get a single ounce of sleep. Also, I had some of my stuff still in there, as well as there's no outlets in the room, and so you can't charge anything unless like you're sitting out in the lobby with it, which sucks. I stayed for 5 nights in London, which cost me 63 euros. To find the cheapest hostels, by the way, I recommend using Hostel World. It's an app. You can get it on your phone. I stayed in London for 5 nights. I also stayed in Brighton for 5 nights. So the total for my Brighton hostel was 115 euros. Oh wait, shit, pounds. Next, I went to Amsterdam and I stayed there for only 3 nights because it was the most expensive place. And for 3 nights, it was 75 euros. Next was Paris, and I stayed in Paris for 6 nights, and the total for that was 186 euros. And last but not least, I stayed in Barcelona for 9 nights, and the total for that was 225 euros. Adding all this together, I believe it was around $700 for all of my hostels. Moving on to travel expenses, I'm going to talk about all my plane tickets and everything like that, even though I already talked about how I got to London. Keep in mind, this is not including when I'm there. I am not including Metro cards, train tickets, I don't know, anything like that. This is only the cost for getting from city to city. So it was $300 to get from the US to London, and then from London to Brighton, I took a train, and it was $50 for that ticket. Then from Brighton to Amsterdam, my plane ticket was about $40. From Amsterdam to Paris, I took an 8-hour bus ride, and it was $30 for that, but I do not recommend it at all. I would definitely fly if I went again. Definitely the cheapest, so if you don't care about comfort, then take a bus, I guess, but I personally would not recommend it to anybody. And from Paris to Barcelona, my plane ticket was pretty expensive. It was about $80. I didn't book my plane ticket home until I was in Barcelona for like 3 days already, so I booked my plane ticket about 5 days in advance before leaving. I'm guessing if you pre-book it like months in advance, it would be a lot cheaper, but my plane ticket home was again $300, but I had a 20-hour layover in Iceland this time. If you don't mind layovers, I would recommend WOW Air. The one company I would not recommend is Ryanair. I flew with them one time from Paris to Barcelona. My plane was delayed 3 hours. It sucked. So all those together, all those added up, I believe it was about $810 for my travel expenses, not including Metro cards or getting to and from the airport. Last but not least, we are going to talk about food and spending money when you're there. I underestimated how much food is in Europe, especially in the major cities. I was hoping to only spend like $30 a day. I ended up spending about $50 a day. Food really depends on you, how much you eat, what you like to eat. One thing I do recommend is looking for hostels that have free breakfast. I did not even think about that when I was booking hostels, and the only hostel that had free breakfast when I was there was Barcelona. I also was bad, and Europe fashion is just great, and so I went shopping quite a bit. If you times 50 by 30, you get 1,500, and so that would mean I spent 1,500 on food. And now looking at these numbers, I'm very confused as to how I spent 4,000 the whole trip. Spoiler alert, that is how much I spent for 4 weeks. So if you want an actual budget very quick, and you can stop this video right here if that's all you wanted to know, I spent $4,000 in 4 weeks, meaning I spent $1,000 every single week. It could have been a lot more expensive, and it also could have been a lot cheaper. It just depends on you and your habits. I hope I've sort of answered the question of how I afforded it. Use Hostel World. Look for the best deal without it being a dump. Make sure that you're not staying with like bed bugs or anything. Second, use Google Flights to look at flights. Third, take buses or something if the flights are too expensive. I ate ramen and chips some days. I spent a lot of money on alcohol in my food budget. Yeah, and just like little things added up to the 4,000. Like when I was in Iceland, which wasn't even going to be in my budget because I didn't plan that Iceland trip until like 5 days in advance. I went to the Blue Lagoon. There's a video on it. If you haven't seen it, it's down below. That was like $200 in 1 day, which is ridiculous. Now, if you want to know how I personally afforded it, I don't make money off of YouTube at all, and so I just worked full-time and I saved up a lot of money from that. I babysit quite often. I don't buy things that I don't need. If traveling the world is a priority to you, then I think it is very, very easy to save, because I feel like once you go on your first trip and you have like a little taste of life, you will fall in love and you will realize it is worth it to save. I am back here now, a little bit broke. I got my job back, thankfully they hired me back. I'm starting back there in about a week or 2, and then hopefully I'll be able to save up a lot more money and then go on another trip. I hope you got something out of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!